कभी क्षमा नहीं कर सकते। क्षमा करना तो बलवानों का गुण है।
अपने आप को खोजने का सबसे अच्छा तरीका है अपने आप को दूसरों की सेवा में खो देना।
अपने उद्देश्य में दृढ़ विश्वास रखने वाला एक सूक्ष्म शरीर इतिहास के रुख को बदल सकता है। लोग कभी
मैं मरने को तैयार हूँ, पर ऐसी कोई वजह नहीं जिसके लिए मैं मारने को तैयार। अपने आप को खोजने का सबसे अच्छा तरीका
अपने विचारों से निर्मित प्राणी
दूसरों की सेवा में
जो सोचता है वही बन जाता है।
खुशी तब मिलेगी जब जो आप सोचते
इतिहास के रुख को
कहते हो
बदल सकता है।
और जो आप करते हैं मरने को तैयार हो गए। पर ऐसी कोई मानवता जिसके लिए मैं मारने को तैयार। मानवता सागर की तरह है। सागर की कुछ बूंदें गंदी है तो सागर गंदा नहीं हो जाता।
Okay.
Thank you for the audio representation. Now we are going to start today's main session. Before that, a very pertinent inaugural song is to be presented by Dr. Dola Sarkar, HOD and Assistant Professor of Education, going to Lassi College, Nadia. With her song, we would like to start the session. Madam, please. Pertinent inaugural song is to be presented by Dr. Dola Sarkar, HOD and Assistant Professor of Education, going to Lassi College, Nadia.
Now I am presenting
We would like to start the session.
Raghupati Raghava Rajaram. The original lyrics of this song are attributed to Lakshmanacharya. The song was later edited and published by Sri The version that is most common was put to music by Vishnu and was found by Gandhi and his followers as they worked during 41 miles for not sugar. Later edited and published by Sri May all become happy. May all be free from illness. May all see what is auspicious. May all know one's suffering. All this. रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम 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 बज प्यारे तू सीताराम 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 बज प्यारे तू सीताराम ईश्वर वल्ला तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम मुख में तुलसी दिल में राम, जब बोलो तब सीताराम। कौशल्या का भाला राम, दशरथ जी का प्यारा राम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम।
Thank you, madam, for this beautiful rendition of the famous Ramdhun. Now, without further delay, we would like to come to the business session. Our Honorable Principal Madam, Dr. Shoma Ghosh, is present with us. I would request her to deliver the welcome address and let the session start. Madam, please. Hello. Principal Madam, are you with us? No, we can't hear you.
Very poor. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Now we can hear you.
Yeah, there is a very poor connectivity. Why? I don't know. Am I audible, Pritha?
Yes, ma'am. At least I can hear you. I don't know who for the others participants, sir, but I can hear you.
No,
Pradeep,
nothing
can you
is
hear
audible.
me?
Nothing is audible. Hello, nothing is audible.
Audible, sir. Audible, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
No, I
Audible,
can't hear anything.
Thank you.
Acha.
Pritha, is it my turn to address?
Yes, ma'am.
Pitha,
Deliver
ma'am.
the welcome.
Pitha, ma'am.
Yes,
Pitha, ma'am. Repeat the program. Repeat.
Hello.
Hello. Huh.
We are going to start today's session, and before that, we are requesting our Honorable Principal Madam, Dr. Shoma Ghosh, to deliver her welcome address. Sorry for the network problem.
Okay, I sincerely apologize for poor connectivity on my part. I was being disconnected somehow. Anyway, I'd like to convey my sincere thanks to all the session coordinators and from my college and Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum for organizing such an enlightening and relevant webinar. This is a wonderful venture. These days we are doing lots of things on COVID-19 and its impact on culture, society, literature, economy. And in this situation, a webinar on Mahatma Gandhi, especially his thought, his philosophy on education, seems to be a very relevant one because there has been a shift in the learning process itself. And as we know that learning process is an integrated whole, so whether it is online or offline, it has to go on with all its knowledge and all its flavor. And through this digital platform, we are trying to transmit knowledge, but we have some doubt in our mind that whether we are doing justice to education itself. And in this situation, it is a pandemic in our education system also. So in this situation, it is highly relevant, and I hope that it will be a very motivating webinar for us as teachers who are at the same time trying our best to
address our students, and at the same time, we are in dilemma whether we are doing justice to education itself. So I'd like to dedicate this webinar to all the dedicated teachers, not only of my college, but also of every global colleges, global universities, global institutions, because every teacher, wherever he is from, is suffering from this dilemma. And teaching is a passion. Education is not not something which we can commercialize or commodify. So in this situation, we the teachers are really in a mental state of crisis. And this webinar will definitely enlighten us regarding actual essence of education. And Gandhiji's philosophy has always been a very motivating, has always generated a motivational attitude amongst us, and it will be an enlightening seminar further. With that, I'd like to share something on Gandhiji himself. As we know that Gandhiji's public life in India began during the First World War and ended about 2 years after the Second World War. And during that period, there were, as a matter of fact, few Indians who are still remembered and who are still worshipped. And Gandhiji is one among them. And of life, from our economy to our society, our culture, our education, he gifted us a huge knowledge, huge base of huge sources of thoughts, and with that we are still living. So Gandhiji is still relevant in our life, in our society, in our education system, with his radical and at the same time pragmatic thought process. With that, I welcome you all again in this webinar, and I convey my sincere thanks again to all the session coordinators, Department of Education, Dr. Pradeep Das, Dr. Pritha Kundu, for wonderful commencement of the session, and Sri Pradeep Odhikari from Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum, and of course others who are associated with this webinar. We have with us lots of speakers, and I must mention Dr. Shivaji Pratim Basu also. And Pritha, I'd like to introduce Shivaji Da when he will start his session. With that, and with big thanks to all of you, I am just handing over it to Pritha, madam.
Thank you, madam. We offer our sincere thanks to our Honorable Principal Madam for her warm welcome address. Now, we would like to start the session without much delay. And we beg apologies in advance. At any time, any kind of poor connectivity may occur, but we hope that this should not happen, that's all. We are going to inaugurate the academic session with the keynote address by Dr. Sandeep Marwa, Honorable Chancellor, AAFT University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh.
Lovely. Yeah, do you want me to start, please?
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Sandeep Marwa, Chancellor of AAFT University. I'm so happy, I'm so excited that today I am a part of this beautiful event, which has been organized by Hiralal Mazumdar Memorial College for Women in association with Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum. My special thanks to Dr. Soma Ghosh, my special thanks to Manojit ji and Vipin Gaur for inviting me here for this wonderful session. I'm recollecting two lines कि सभी दिशाओं से शुभ सुंदर भाव विचार भरे नित अंतर पुण्य धरा बन जाए स्वर्ग ये मेरे यत्नों से करुणा कर. What I'm trying to tell you here is whether it is north, south, east or west, whether it is India or abroad, whether you on the top of the hill or you're standing at a seashore, whether you are in a lush green garden and looking at some colorful flowers, or maybe looking at the most beautiful woman on earth. But the fact is there are two things which are much more beautiful than what you can see with your naked eyes. And these two things are your thinking and your feelings. And the best part is that both the things are right within you. You don't even have to look outside for that. On this very auspicious day, let's pray, hey Lord, give me good thinking, give me good feelings so that I can do good deeds. And through my good karmas, I would love to convert this earth into heaven. That's what I believe. That's what I have just transformed, translate, and change the words what Mahatma Gandhi actually has been talking about. I'm recollecting two more lines what probably he would has uttered probably in a different words. कि स्वयं विधाता होवे मानव अंतर में विश्वास रखाओ चलो न मिटते पथ नो पाओ अपने रास्ते आप बनाओ अपनी आत्म ज्योति पर निर्भर अपने सूर्य स्वयं बन जाओ. The reality is that God has been so kind. When I say God, G-O-D, that means unseen power, which can, or unseen energy, which can generate, which can operate, and which can destroy. And God has been so kind that He has bestowed upon us all those powers, the powers which He actually carries Himself, a power to generate, a power to operate, and a power to destroy. And it is entirely up to all of you that what power you use for which purpose. And the best way is that if your intentions are nice to people, there are three very important things which Mahatma Gandhi has uttered many times. Passion. You have to be calm, quiet, with every kind of a patience, that kind of a stamina within you, that you should be aware anything and everything in your life. Courage. You should be powerful enough to face anything which is not up to the mark. You should be a leader yourself. And that is the reason that Mahatma Gandhi always been walking in front of the whole crowd. And compassion, a feeling to understand others, their pain, what exactly they're thinking, what they needed. That's very important for us to learn. I'm very happy that I'm here and talking about Mahatma Gandhi. I've read few books of Mahatma Gandhi, and I've read a lot of books which written by Mahatma Gandhi, and probably they have always impressed me. And that's the reason that we have also created a new organization few years back. I mean, like around 20 years back, we created this organization called World Peace Development and Research Foundation. And this foundation has anything and everything to do with Mahatma Gandhi. We started with a library. We started with a film library. We started making films on Mahatma Gandhi. We started conducting workshops, seminars, symposium, interaction programs, talks, sessions on Mahatma Gandhi, because I realized that Mahatma Gandhi, even so many years back, was up to the mark. He was absolutely correct. His words, his sayings are even today, they are valid 100%. You can just read Mahatma Gandhi and you can actually change your destiny. Mahatma Gandhi has very well said कि जो भाग लेता है उसी का भाग्य बदलता है. It's very important for today's student to participate in each and every item, each and every event, each and every happening which is being conducted by school, college, and your neighbors, your friends. Because when you participate, you get involved, you learn a lot, and you are prepared for the unforeseen circumstances. If you know how to face unforeseen circumstances, then you are the perfect man. My dear friends, because I'm talking to a large number of students, probably it's very important to give you one mantra of your lifetime. And let me, my dear, give you this mantra of A to G. You must remember A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. This mantra is very important for each and every student to get success in life. When I say A, it means you have to be ambitious, and your attitude. Think big, dream. Nobody is going to stop you to think big, but then start working for that too. But then if you're working and if you're attaining something, then remember that it's your attitude which is going to take you to a better heights. You have to be soft, you have to be polite, you have to be down to earth, you have to be obeying your parents, teachers, and that is the kind of attitude today is required from a student if you really want to be successful in life, my dear friends. When I say B is believe. You have to believe in a belief. There is a belief that there is a God, but nobody has seen it. But we believe in that belief and pray God. We have temples, mosques, we have gurdwaras, we have churches, because we have that belief and we want to believe in that belief. So what belief you have to develop? You have to develop a belief that you are in the right institution, that you have the right teachers. Your teachers are worried about you. Your parents are worried about you. Your circumstances are correct in which you have been born. You have to believe this and then start working. So that you will develop a wonderful regard and respect for the environment, for the parents, for teachers, and trust me, one day you're bound to be successful. When I say C means commitment. You have to have a commitment today. Commitment, and C also stands for in today's days, communication. So my dear friends, develop a commitment to your family, commitment to your own self, commitment to your school, your college, your studies. So एक बार मैंने जो सोच लिया तो उसके बाद मैं अपनी भी बात नहीं सुनता हूँ. ऐसी कमिटमेंट होनी चाहिए. And develop that commitment कि मैंने अगर एक दफा वायदा कर लिया, एक दफा मैंने पक्का कर लिया, I have to stay to it. Commitment to your girlfriend, commitment to your boyfriend, very important. And that's how you're going to create a better society tomorrow. And that's how you're going to be a wonderful entrepreneurs. You're going to be a wonderful leaders. You're going to be wonderful managers. And then simultaneously, you have to have a wonderful communication. It's an age of communication. It's an age of eyes, information, communication, and entertainment. Develop that kind of a communication and start reading about it, learning about it, and you can do lots and lots of courses about it. I'm so lucky that I'm running a school of communication. AAFT University, I'm running a university of communication. It's very important to have a better communication. D stands for dedication. My dear friends, जो भी काम करें, ईमानदारी से करें, दिल लगा के करें. That's called what dedication is. That you're involved in your school studies, you're involved with your college studies, you're involved with your co-curricular activities, you're involved with your writing part, you're involved with making of a film, you're involved. And you involved, that means that particular time, that present, you are giving your best to anything what you're doing at one particular moment. That's called dedication. When I say E means enthusiasm. Never lose enthusiasm, my dear friends. Enthusiasm is key to success. याद रखिएगा कि enthusiasm जो है वो जिंदगी की कुंजी है. Never lose enthusiasm. Never get disheartened. Never feel let down. Never feel that you're going to grow in life. There are a lot of instances. Life is not bed of roses. Remember that. Life is not bed of roses. You have to work hard to achieve it. Work hard.
And one minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. Sanjukta Ghosh. Saif Khan, Dona Dotto, stop your video. Sanjukta Ghosh, Dona Dotto, Saif Khan. Please stop your video. Titanu Bhattacharya. Please stop all video. They've done philosophy. Please stop, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So E stands for enthusiasm. F stands for focus. Be focused in your life. You have joined a college, you have joined one particular course because you wanted to be here, because you thought of it, you have already discussed about it. Now start working hard for this particular business and put your best, give your best, be focused, and you're bound to be successful, my dear friends. The wavering minds will not take you to many places unless and until you're again very sure that then this decision is not correct, and then you're taking a new decision. But then if you're taking a new decision, then you have to be focused, at least in that account. And G stands for goal. Whatever said and done, at the end of the day, everyone wants success. Everyone wants to be called an achiever. Everyone wants to be a leader. Everyone wants to be a rich, moneyed. आपको क्या चाहिए? नाम, इज्जत, शोहरत, पैसा, पदारत, मान, मर्यादा, वो कैसे मिलेगी? वो मिलेगी आपके इन तमाम A to F से. और G है goal. Make a goal that where you would like to be after 3 months, after 1 year, after 3 years, after 5 years, after 10 years. Write down, make a note out of it. Okay, what exactly I'm thinking, where I would like to reach in my life. Write down and start working for it. And I'm sure, my dear friends, one good day, you're bound to be successful. You're bound to achieve your targets. That's what I believe. मुझे 2 लाइनें फिर से याद आ रही हैं कि काम शुरू करते नहीं भय से नीचे लोग, मध्यम तजते बीच में देख विषम संयोग, पर उत्तम वे लोग जो हर दुर्गम पथ झेल, दृढ़ता से बढ़ते कदम बाधाओं को ठेल. I belong to films, television, media, art and culture fraternity, and this is one business where we have never ever in our life divided the society on the basis of caste, creed, religion, region, color, status, rich, poor, never. We have only believed in one dharma, and that is called entertainment. But still, I've gone out of way to divide the society into 3 major segments. काम शुरू करते नहीं भय से नीचे लोग, people who are lazy bums, people who are lethargic, people who have 100 excuses for one job. I have categorized all of them into the downtrodden people of the society. They are the people, they are the black sheep of the society. Please be away from these kind of people. They don't work, they will not let you work. They're never successful, they will never let you successful, my dear friends. Please keep yourself away from all these people. मध्यम तजते बीच में देख विषम संयोग. People with little push and pull, with little enthusiasm, they might start the work, but the minute they see a bit of the hindrance, they try to run away from the battlefield. I have categorized all these people into the middle class people, mediocre, B class people. पर उत्तम वे लोग जो हर दुर्गम पथ झेल, दृढ़ता से बढ़ते कदम बाधाओं को ठेल. People who are rigid, they know that what are their goals. People, they have enthusiasm. People who are truthful to their work. People who are committed. People who would love to reach to their goals. People who plan for their work. People who are truthful to themselves and to their work. I have categorized all these kind of people into the A class people because they are the people who are always going to get success. And what is the real key to success? The real key to success is a very strong determination, dridhta. If you have a very strong determination, my dear friends, you're bound to be successful. जो भी काम आप आज अपने हाथ में ले रहे हैं, उसे दृढ़ता के साथ, with strong determination, move forward and see to it that you reach to where you have planned for. It is most important for you, and that is not only good for you, that is good for your family, that is good for your community, that is good for your society, that is good for my nation. And it's very important that all of you and me should work honestly, work hard, and see to it that our nation should rise to a new level. Today, what is the biggest weakness of this country? That we don't have honest worker. People are not even ready to work 8 hours what they are committed to. And probably that's one of the reasons that we are lacking behind in each and everything, whatever we are starting in this country, because we don't find committed people. You have to plan today in this way that I'll turn out to be a very committed person, a very patriotic, a very nationalist person. Because if you love your country, you will never do anything wrong. Trust my word. This is the kind of a people we need today. This is the kind of education we need today. Reading books and reading on net is only one part of education. The most important part of education is to inculcate value. We want to develop not only healthy minds, healthy body, but we want to develop healthy spirits, which is needed today. You are patriotic, a nationalist, a man who loves his country. And see, once you love your country, look at the Japanese people. You just cannot speak against their country right in front of them. They'll hit you. They will stop talking to you. They will cancel the contract. Okay, how dare you have talked about my country so bad? And this is this is a kind of a feeling every child of this country must develop today. My dear friends, I remember that Gandhiji said, a man is a product of his own thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. This Mahatma Gandhi told this. And that means whatever you're going to think about yourself, and that is the way you're going to be ultimately turn out to be. So we want our children should have a high spirits, they should have a good health, and they should have a sharp mind. And this is how the education system should work today. And all these things, webs, pandemic, these all things are टू एंड फ्रो. ये तो आते रहेंगे, जाते रहेंगे. दुनिया में मुसीबतें पड़ती रहेंगी, लोगों के कष्ट आते रहेंगे. जिंदगी कष्टों से ही भरी हुई है. और असली में उभर के सच्चा भारतीय वो कहलाएगा जो इन तमाम कष्टों से निखर कर निकल कर उभर के ऊपर आएगा. वही आगे जो है लीडर कहलाएगा. And Gandhiji told you very nicely that I will not anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet. कोई किसी को भी मैं गंदे पैरों से अपने दिमाग के ऊपर से गुजरने नहीं दूंगा. That is the reason that he created 3 monkeys कि ना बुरा देखो, ना बुरा बोलो, ना बुरा सुनो. जब आप बुरा ना देखोगे, ना सुनोगे, ना बोलोगे, तो आप खुद ब खुद अच्छे इंसान बन के बाहर आओगे. ऐसा मेरा मानना है. I'm so happy that I'm associated with events, and because I'm associated with the Mahatma Gandhi forums, and I'm a great fan of Mahatma Gandhi. I'm a great मैं तो पुजारी हूँ महात्मा गांधी का. और इसीलिए मेरी जितने भी इवेंट्स हैं, जितने भी फंक्शंस हैं, they always carry a beautiful line which is called love, peace and unity through art and culture. And I feel so lucky that I'm in a field where I can communicate, where I can talk, where I can reach masses, where I can talk to large number of people and actually speak about Mahatma Gandhi's ideology in today's world. With all these words, I once again thank you very much for giving me this beautiful opportunity to be part of this beautiful session. And I'm in a position to talk to so many students at the same time. All my best wishes to you. And I believe, I presume, and I have full trust that you, all of you, will believe in Mahatma Gandhi and design and redesign your ideology according to Mahatma Gandhi and turn out to be a real Indian. And that's all my best wishes to you. God bless you. Jai Hind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Pita ma'am, 1 minute. Pita ma'am. Devdas philosophy. Nirmal Mitra, stop your presentation. Dona Datta, mute your video. Please. Dona Datta, mute your video. Saqib Khan, Dona Datta. Please mute your video.
May I request all the participants to stop presentation of your screen, and of course, please off your video, because once the speaker is delivering his lecture, it is highly distracting for the speaker also. We should be very careful to allow the speaker to speak smoothly. Please mute your voice and off your video.
Dr. Shoma Ghosh, thank you very much once again. I have another small commitment and I probably have to leave. So I beg your leave. My heartiest thanks to you and my heartiest congratulations for organizing such a wonderful seminar. My once again thanks to Vipin Gaur and Manojit, and I'm so happy that I could be with you today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Marwa, once again, a big thanks from all of my staff in the college, and of course, Department of Education, and hope we'll hear from you once again in near future. That was a wonderful delivery. So we are really enlightened.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vipin.
প্রদীপ সবাইকে একটু ভিডিওটা অফ করতে বলো আর একটু মিউট করতে বলো, আদারওয়াইজ স্পিকারদের খুব অসুবিধা হচ্ছে।
Yes, ma'am. Please, Devdas philosophy. Devdas, are you listen to me? Devdas philosophy. Devdas. Dona Datta. Please mute your video. Please. Pita ma'am.
May I start?
Yes, ma'am.
With thanks to our previous speaker, Dr. Sandip Marwa from AFT University, the Honorable Chancellor of that institution, who has just left us for some other official duties. We are now going to the next session of today's academic assembly. And in this session, we have 4 honorable resource persons with us. The first speaker is Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary, Department of Peace and Conflicts, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh. I would request him to come forward and deliver his valuable address. Please, sir.
Santram, Dona Datta, Rajashri Koyal, Devdas philosophy. Devdas, please stop your video.
Thank you, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So it's a nice experience for me to attend this Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy on education and peace building. I would like to thank Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum in collaboration with Hiralal Mazumdar Memorial College for Women. And especially, I would like to thank Mr. Pradeep Rudrodhikari, who has contacted with me. Today, I would like to say something on Gandhian philosophy and relate it with the peace negotiations, a little bit with conflict resolution. For time limit and other things, it would not be possible to relate many important aspects of contribution of M.K. Gandhi. And for me, it's very difficult because his work and through his lifetime, he did so many things. He come up with so many approaches, theories. It's very difficult to cover all of these things and to relate within this short period of time. And I have a presentation
It's mostly descriptive, but it will give you some sort of ideas. Are you seeing my slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, my presentation, today's topic, Gandhian philosophy, peace, conflict resolution, and approaches to negotiation. I am Dr. Sabir Ahmed Choudhury from University of Dhaka, and I'm working in the Department of Peace and Conflict Studies. At first, if we would like to say that the main thing what we relate with Mr. Gandhi, it is possible to live in peace. And if you just come to our department, you see that when we are showing the name of our department, by the side of the name, you will see this quote that peace is possible. So it comes from the inspiration from the words of this great man. Most of you know about this reputed person, so I am not going through these things. M.K. Gandhi is well known for his principles of courage, non-violence, and truth called Satyagraha. He believed that the way people behave is more important than what they achieve. So it's a very important quote to understand. And in this lecture, I mostly cover his approach of Satyagraha. And it is important. He started in a lot of countries, lot of researchers from USA, Canada, Australia, mostly everywhere. They studied on his work and tried to relate with their different aspects. And he is well regarded in the field of conflict resolution and negotiations as well for his most important concept of non-violence. So using the principles of Satyagraha, he led the campaign for India's independence from the British. All of you know this. In many ways, this is similar to the way Malaysia achieved its independence through the untiring efforts of the late Tunku Abdul Rahman. In a seminar in 2007, and it was in Malaysia. So when they conducted this seminar on the Gandhi's philosophy on peace, they come up with their with this understanding. If we just think in the quest of achieving world peace, especially in the present world, which is confronted with so much violence and terrorism, the principles of non-violence practiced by Gandhi should be seriously looked in. So that's why scholars give importance to relate his approach. M.K. Gandhi, he developed a method of action based upon the principles of courage. The spelling principle is wrong here. Non-violence and through Satyagraha. He viewed that resistance was necessary during British period, but in the form of ahimsa, non-violence. It is a whole philosophy of life. And if we just think that after fighting against the British, if we just recall what was the situation at that time, a new society has to be built and should promote and encourage human liberation. And this could not be achieved through massive power, and that is why he was against huge corporations. It was his views at that time. And according to him, democracy should start in the level of the village. The idea of panchayats, a village discussion of muzaira session was necessary. So it was the concepts here, and you are very familiar with this idea of panchayats. And if we just relate the situation of the present situation when we are working with the conflict resolution and other things, and if we just think about when Gandhi's was working on the different aspects and trying to apply his approaches during the time of British. So Gandhi's situation is not the same as the present situation at that time, and the leadership shown in today's scenario should change and improve with time, as the current situation differs greatly in terms of economy and political stability. And it's not that difficult to understand the situation at that time. The concept of non-violence has many aspects, but especially if we just aware that this level of non-violence require incredible faith and courage, which he realized not everyone possessed. And Mr. Gandhi therefore advised that everyone need not keep to non-violence, especially if it was used as a cover for cowardice. So, especially there are many works, and I am also surprised when I go through the literature of the scholars of a different arena. And if you just go through the beginning, in the beginning period when the Journal of Peace Studies was published, it's around 1957-58. So from that time, the scholars tried to relate his concept of Satyagraha, non-violence, with different aspect of conflict and conflict resolution things. And peoples are always trying to relate their views of conflict resolution with the concept. So if we go through the Biraja Shankar Rath, he wrote on paper on Gandhi and conflict resolution in 1986. In that paper, he asserts that Gandhi's Satyagraha may be one of the most viable techniques of conflict resolution. And the author, Mr. Rath, is astonished that this aspect of it has not received the attention it deserves. So he emphasized on more research and more effort on understanding that concept. He makes note of Gandhi's stages of conflict resolution. We know negotiation is one of them, followed by self-suffering and non-violent direct action. This is not related to any modern literature on the techniques that may facilitate the situation. Again, if we just go through the literature of Cover and others, and their work on the resource manual for a living revolution. They worked on a training manual, and in this training manual, in a section, the authors dealt with developing a theory of change. And in that section, they list Gandhian nonviolence as one of the important social change theories, and recommends the starting of case stories as a way of assisting in the formation of framework for exploring the theory of social change movements. Here, it needs to be mentioned that in many literature of social change, it is well covered, this concept is well covered, this Gandhian Satyagraha concept. Again, Lipschitz and Kritzer, long ago in 1975, suggests that non-violence should be examined more closely as a form of unconventional political action, but rather than linking it to conflict resolution. They suggest that the value of nonviolence lies in its healthy disregard for authority, which is good democracy. So, authors can differ and relate things in many ways. Lipschitz and Kritzer, they said that it's better to relate this non-violence concept more with democracy, and it's some sort of difficult sometimes to deal with conflict resolution. It's their personal view. So Gandhi's well published examples of non-violent resistance and the voluminous writing on his techniques at least set the tone for the later development and phenomenal growth of conflict resolution literature. So it's very important because when we started to study conflict, peace in a different way, there was not enough literature to deal with the concept. And in this way, uh, it's very difficult for us to find out literature. So at that time, this contribution of his aspects was remarkable. And Gandhian Satyagraha may contribute to the modern conflict resolution theory and its practical application. Still his theories is relevant when we dealt with different concept of conflict resolution. Satyagraha has variously been translated as passive resistance, non-violent resistance, non-violent direct action, and even militant non-violence. So here I would like to have some sort of understanding to relate these things, the Satyagraha with defining conflict, with positive approach and others. So for Gandhi, it was not only a method of conducting conflict, it was also a way of life, of living in truth. His approach helps us to define conflict. How? Because it helps us to state your goals clearly. It helps us try to understand the opponent's goals, emphasize common and compatible goals, state conflict relevant facts objectively. Because we know when we deal with or we analyze this conflict, we need to identify the goal of a person of a group and the goal of the group or a person in the opposite side. So it helps us to define the goal of different actors and group who are involved. It also a positive approach to the conflict. Give the conflict a positive emphasis. See it as an opportunity to meet the opponent, as an opportunity to transform society, and as an opportunity to transform the self. Because we mentioned that Gandhi give more emphasis. It's not only a way of dealing with conflict. It's a way of life. So in that case, he dealt with these things and give us the opportunity to relate this concept with so many aspects. It also relates to conflict struggle and enjoins one to act non-violently in conflicts. How? Because it emphasizes or it relates, do not harm or hurt with words, deeds or thoughts. Do not damage property. Prefer violence to cowardice. Do good even to the evil doer. So it's very important to understand. As well as it acts in a goal consistent manner. How? By including constructive elements using goal-revealing forms of struggle, acting openly rather than secretly, and by aiming the struggle at the correct point. So, if we try to understand that it's aimed to a correct direction or a right direction and use the goal revealing forms of struggle. It emphasizes on conflicts should be solved. Do not continue the struggle forever. It was not the goal of non-violence. Always seek negotiation, seek positive social transformation, and seek transformation of both the self and the opponent. So we can relate in this way. It is never the intention of a Shottyagrahi to embrace the wrongdoer. The Shottyagraha is object is to convert, not to coerce the wrongdoer. And it's the main essence of understanding his philosophy. At the end, in the words of Mr. Gandhi, when I disappear, I remember that all through history, the ways of truth and love have always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they can seem invincible. But in the end, they always fall. Think of it always. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for hearing my lecture with patience. Thanks the opportunity once again, authority once again to give me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable address. Now, we would like to come to our next speaker, Dr. Shivaji Pratim Basu. And I would request our principal madam to introduce him. Madam, please.
Thank you, Pitha. I take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Shivaji Pratim Basu because he is not only a scholar. Here, every speaker is a renowned scholar and a very welcome speaker to us. But he is like my elder brother also. So I take this opportunity to introduce him. But before I do this, I must owe my thanks to the previous speaker who wonderfully presented Gandhian thought, and especially with a focus on Gandhian thought of Satyagraha and his philosophy on independence and all that. Actually, Gandhian concept of political system was not only connected with freedom, not only connected with goodness of the society, but also connected with education. Because he believed that in a good political system, there must be the element of goodness necessarily present in every man. There is the need of a proper education system and proper societal development for really for nation building and for socio-economic development of any political system. And his philosophy of Satya, that is truth, and Ahimsa, that is non-violence, his firm belief in God, dignity of labor, all are still worshipped among the philosophers, among the people who are having a faith on Gandhian philosophy. And with that conviction, I'd like to introduce Dr. Shivaji Pratim Basu. He is a renowned professor of political science, Department of Political Science and Rural Administration in Vidyasagar University. He is long associated with Gandhian thought and Gandhian philosophy. He has lots of he has lots of scholarly output like Fleeing People of South Asia, Selections from Refugee, The Poet and the Mahatma, Forced Migration in South Asia, Sustainability of Rights After Globalization, Colonial India, Ideas and Movements, Essays in Memory of Professor Buddhadev Bhattacharya, Defining Moments of Left Popular Politics in West Bengal, Rabindranath Tagore, Indian Democracy and Violence, and lots of others. I have just mentioned a few, and my favorite one is The Concepts of Nationalism and Internationalism, Tagore and Gandhi. With this brief introduction of his scholarly output, I'd like to share some contribution of Shivaji Pratim Basu in various channels as political commentators and experts. He specialized in modern Indian political thought and politics and socialist thought, and also has serious interest in the issues related to forced migration in contemporary South Asia and people's sustainable rights in India. And for this scholarly achievements, he has been always called by several channels, several news media, several webinars and seminars to as a speaker, as an honorable speaker. With that brief introduction, I'd like to invite Professor Shivaji Pratim Basu to have his deliberation in this webinar. Thank you. Hello. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Over
Hello,
to Pritha. Hello. Shivaji da, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. We can hear you. Please carry on.
Thank you, Madam Principal. And for me, it is Shoma. She's like my younger sister, and I have always been benefited when we were associated in different capacities as one of the syllabus makers of the present West Bengal State University, and we have also done many things together. And she has also written variously on many subjects like public administration and also other things. So at the outset I want to congratulate the organizers, especially Dr. Shoma Ghosh and her associates for organizing such a timely seminar like this. What can be more meaningful, more significant for us at this hour of crisis when everyone we are suffering, to have courage in our mind and also to embrace the message of seva, the message of service to humanity. All these are Gandhi's teachings. So with this, I'll not take time much time. I will not waste much time. I will directly go to my topic. Soma, I need a little bit help. Should I go on my right button to? I have made I have prepared a small a PowerPoint presentation for you. Otherwise, my lecture, my rather, it is not lecture, a conversation, my conversation with all of you, which I want very much, that will be more scattered. So I have prepared something as PowerPoint.
Shivaji da?
Yes.
Shivaji da?
Yes.
Professor Basu?
Yes.
Yeah, there must be some sound problem.
Okay. maybe because of the
Yeah, your sound is breaking.
Is this okay now? Hello?
Yeah. Can you be a bit louder?
Can you hear me now?
Pradeep, Pritha.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hear me.
Yeah. Please respond. I think that sound quality is very poor.
Am I audible now? Am I audible? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're
Yes,
audible.
sir.
But Shoma cannot hear me.
Yeah. Now it's okay. Shubhajita, now it's okay.
Because I'm in this webinar because of Shoma, only for Shoma. And she's like my sister, as I have already mentioned. And I have come to this, your college. A long time ago, there was a seminar in the economics department of your college. And then Professor Shikha Sengupta, did she work in this college previously? Shikhadi? Hello? Hello? There is no sound now.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Sir, we can hear you. Please carry on.
No. So I was reminiscing that I was in your college a few more than a decade ago. I think more than a decade ago or 12 years ago at a seminar by the economics department of your college. And then Professor Shikha Sengupta, did she work at your college? Professor
No, sir.
Shikha?
No, sir.
No,
No, sir.
Oh, not actually. Anyway, I have forgotten. Someone else had invited me at that time, so I joined that. So I have to click the present now button. No, present now. Okay. So which I should? I'm a little bit confused here. Where should I? Which button should I push? Which button should I push?
Someone please help, sir.
Pooja, please help, sir.
Which button should I place, Pooja? Push.
Shubhajita, there is a click button present now.
Yes, that I have clicked. Then there are three.
Okay.
Your entire screen, a window, or a
You just go to slide mode, slideshow mode.
There is no slide. There is one Chrome tab. Then a
Pradeep. Hello, Pradeep.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Will you please request Mr. Devdas Philosophy?
Yes.
To off his video.
Devdas Philosophy. Are you listening me? Devdas Philosophy. Hello, Devdas Philosophy. Hello. Okay. Sukumar Sarkar. Mute your video. Sukumar Sarkar.
Shubhajita, is it okay?
Big screen. Your entire screen, a window, a Chrome tab.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Please, sir, your entire screen, sir.
Entire screen?
Yes. Sir, your entire screen. Click on that.
Share now.
And minimize your screen, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Shubhajita, can you hear?
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Devdas Philosophy. Hello.
Hello, sir. Devdas Philosophy.
जी.
Can you please mute yourself?
जी.
देवदास जी, क्या आप प्लीज आपका वीडियो ऑफ कर सकते हैं?
जी. हाँ जी. मैं ओरल प्रेजेंटेशन करूंगा.
ठीक है अभी तो नहीं ना.
हाँ, आप आपका वीडियो थोड़ा ऑफ कर लीजिए सर. थैंक यू सर.
पूजा actually please help. Shivaji da.
यस मैम.
Sukhendu Patro, mute your video. Sukhendu Patro.
So I'm sharing my screen.
अरे
Hello. There is no share option.
Sir, just press on the present screen
Yes, I'm press. Yes, there is one present
and
now.
sir select.
Present.
Yes sir, present now.
And then your entire screen.
Yes sir, entire
yes
screen
sir.
Yes.
and share. And share.
The share button is not here. Share is there is only one cancel.
Sir, whenever you click on the entire screen, there is a small window open your screen.
Yes.
Please click on that.
Okay.
Whenever you select on the entire screen, a small window will be appear in your screen.
Can you
Please click on that.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am.
It is presenting, sir.
Yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
now,
Yeah.
Now
Shivaji
Yeah,
da,
sir.
go to slideshow mode.
no. Can you see?
Slideshow mode.
No. Can you now see the PPT?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We can see your PPT.
Okay. Thank you.
Pooja, request him to go to slideshow mode.
Sir, just
Okay,
press
sir. Okay.
F5, sir.
It's
Shivaji sir, please go to in the slideshow mode, which is a
just
slide share.
Just
no.
press F5.
It is already there. I'm on a slideshow mode. Can you see it? The title of my presentation.
Yeah, it is absolutely
Yes, sir, we are-
visible. It is absolutely visible. I'm
So-
requesting all others to mute your voice and off your video, please.
So thank you. I don't know if there is a chair here. Thank you, chair. Thank you, Madam Ghosh, Madam Principal, Madam Ghosh, and other dignitaries of the college, of the seminar, other organizers, the participants. Today, I will like to have a brief presentation. I would like to have a brief exchange of ideas with you. And the topic of my lecture or conversation is Gandhi's nationalism or Satyagraha as discipline. So this is I'll be talking mostly. We have seen we have heard many things on Gandhi's kind of conflict resolution, Gandhi's concept of conflict resolution, and that I was at the end of the lecture, and what I heard, I remembered once reading one book by Thomas Weber. I don't know whether Gandhi's Shanti Sena, I don't know whether my previous speaker has mentioned about it, and Shanti Sena is a kind of it does not Gandhi's conflict resolution. The concept of conflict resolution is not confined to domestic or the societal conflict. It also refers to the conflict between the states, two or more states, and there is an elaborate description. And also some people who work for peace in the world, they prefer, they rather emphasize the value of Gandhi's theory of peace, or Gandhi's peace Sena, as they call themselves, Shanti Sena. So with this word, but I'm here to say something on Gandhi's nationalism. Nationalism is also, with war comes the kind of nationalism that we are all nationalists. During only wars and cricket matches, we become suddenly very much nationalistic, and we rather become a nation. We talk of nationalism, etc., etc. But nationalism is not a child's play. This is a very important concept in India, and which this is by nationalism. What I mean is a modern concept of nationalism. It is not. It is certainly it is distinguished from the concept of old patriotism. What I mean nationalism here
is the Western concept of nationalism, which came up with the rise of modern Western state system, and especially after the French Revolution, that kind of nationalism emerged and spread over the whole world. Now, Gandhi's nationalism, and here there is one thing that or Satyagraha as discipline. What is Gandhi's nationalism? There are several books you will find on Gandhi's nationalism, even internationalism. There are very few books, although, but on Gandhi's nationalism, there are many takers. There are many very 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 well known, very erudite, very critical scholars who have worked on Gandhi's nationalism. But there is also problem with Gandhi's nationalism. Scholars and commentators, while assessing Gandhi's success as a nationalist politician, generally mention about a kind of irony in his image, a paradoxical nature in his personality. So, Gandhi was always very controversial. Gandhi did not believe in kind of consistency throughout his life. Remember the name of his autobiography, My Experiments with Truth. An autobiography or My Experiments with Truth. So there is no one experiment, there are experiments. I underline, I emphasize this word experiments. So there are experiments, and Gandhi did not believe in kind of, consistency. He said, I do not believe in full consistency. And in one of his letters, he rather wrote to his diligent readers, and it is there, you can find it. Gandhi has written copiously. There are about 99 books still are there, and you can find all of them on net today. It's very, when we were researching on Gandhi, there were only 67 or 68 books, and we had to go to Barakpur, Gandhi Ghat, or to Rajghat, Delhi, to have the looks of some of his, manuscripts or not manuscripts or copies of, Young India or Harijan, which were not at that time published as a book. But Gandhi said that I do not believe in full consistency, and he advised to his diligent readers that if you find inconsistency in my two writings, if you find that in 1905 or 1915 I said something, in 1915 I said something, and I am on a particular subject, and on that subject I am saying now something in 1922, something different. Please take my latest words, because this is my current position. So Gandhi always evolved. Gandhi believed in evolution. Gandhi believed in evolution. He believed in experiments. So his thought also, evolved. So for and Gandhi did not write anything for discussion in webinars or seminars. Had he known this, he said, "Oh Ram, hey Ram, please, don't do this." But we have also introduced Gandhian thoughts in syllabuses and in syllabi and in seminars. He has now become a matter of symbol in currency notes, etc. But we miss the great man of Sabarmati every time I see his picture. Very sad. I feel very sad, because he has only become some symbols. In our life, we rarely find Gandhi's, ideals as being practiced. So the scholars talked about a kind of irony in his image, a paradoxical nature. And here what we find is Gandhi always suffered from a dualism, For example, as Krishna Kripalani, he was the husband of Nandita Kripalani, Rabindranath's granddaughter, and he wrote copiously on Nehru, on Gandhi, and once upon a time he was also the secretary or the chair of the National Book Trust, etc. As a very erudite person, he lived in Santiniketan, lived in Delhi. And Krishna Kripalani wrote that wrote about an unconscious irony in this image of Gandhi as the father of nation, because India torn with violence, violence during the partition. What Gandhi thought and what he found. He fought for a united India against the British. What he found in reality was a divided and violence torn India. India torn with violence, bleeding and writhing in horror and hate, could hardly be called a legitimate child of Gandhi. So there is also a controversy that Gandhi, that kind of the nation that Gandhi dreamt and the nation that Gandhi found are not the same things. But from another angle, R.C. Majumdar, Ramesh Chandra Majumdar, a nationalist, historian, he held that Gandhi combined in himself the dual role of a saint and an active politician. He was a saint and an active politician. In today's world, to borrow from literature, there is a term called juxtaposition. So these are juxtaposed terms of being a saint and being an active politician at the same time. Buddhadev Bhattacharya, our very revered teacher, my teacher, Soma's teacher perhaps, he was an astute Gandhi scholar, although he was a Marxist, but he was an astute Gandhi scholar, also put forward a theory of two Gandhis, the idealist philosopher and the practical politician, who paradoxically enough represented a singularly unified character. So he was a singularly unified character, a person, a unified person, but within this unified person, there are two Gandhis, two personalities, the idealist philosopher and the practical politician. And this dualism marked the basis of Gandhi's politics, and his nationalism was a part of it. Now let me move to this. This is a very well-known picture. All of you might have known or seen this. This is a picture of the front gate where it is written M.K. Gandhi, attorney. It was his office at Johannesburg, South Africa. This picture was taken in 1905. And in South Africa, Gandhi went to adopt at his 2021, at the 21 or 22, he moved to South Africa, and he lived there for about 2.5 decades there. And South Africa made Gandhi what he was in future. Gandhi, a new man, and provided him with a laboratory for experiments that would change his future course of life. Here, over 2.5 decades, Gandhi continued to fight for equal citizenship. So Gandhi went there to defend a client, a Muslim client, a Vora Muslim client of Gujarat origin, from which region Gandhi also hailed from Gujarat. And Gujaratis are very enterprising people. We are seeing everywhere Gujaratis, and nowadays also a Gujarati is at the Prime Minister's chair. So Gujaratis are very enterprising people. They cross the sea, and many of them settled in Africa. Even in today, you will find many Gujaratis in various African countries, and so they settled in South Africa. And one of these Gujaratis, a Muslim Hora, he was entangled in a litigation, and he invited Gandhi to defend him. And Gandhi just came from England, being a barrister, but there was not much scope in Mumbai at that time. Bombay Court, Bombay High Court, Bombay's Bombay's atmosphere. There was not much scope for a young lawyer like Gandhi. So he went to South Africa, and there he encountered with this question of equal citizenship. He first saw that people are distinguished on the basis of color, Varna, race. So that became important. Future Gandhi was born in South Africa. So five things, dear participants, five things had taken place in South Africa. Here, he found his seminal method of a satyagraha, and here he developed the idea of his future ashramas. Ashrams are very important in Gandhi's life. Ashramas are like vesis in a desert. In a desert, ashramas are like vesis. And here he founded. In South Africa, Gandhi founded Phoenix School, then Tolstoy Farm, etc., as you all know. And there he made contact with Leo Tolstoy, and he read he read most of his readings are done in South Africa. Thoreau, Tolstoy, Ruskin, everything, and he communicated with Tolstoy. He had correspondences with Tolstoy at that time, and there he grew his all-embracing critique of the modern Western civilization. And also here in South Africa, Gandhi founded he became the editor of a journal called Indian Opinion. Perhaps most of you, or at least some of you, had the opportunity of going through the pages of Hind Swaraj, and there Gandhi was referring himself as the editor. So why editor? Because he was at that time an editor of Indian Opinion, a journal, a newspaper for the South African Indians. So he became an editor, and also his idea of assimilated nationalism, that also developed in South Africa. In India at that time, when Gandhi went there, Congress was facing crisis between the moderates and the extremists, and the extremists were very powerful in India, and especially with the act of partition of Bengal, there rose enormous movement called anti-partition movement, or the Swadeshi movement. And these movements had been led by three great leaders known as Lal Bal Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Bipin Chandra Pal. These extremists, they were called the extremist triumvirate. This extremist triumvirate, they drew their inspiration from the Hindu nationalism to a great extent. So Gandhi was untouched by that kind of development because he was far away from India. He developed an idea of India or Indian nationalism, and these Indians cut across the caste barriers, the language barriers, the religious community barriers, religion barriers. So it was but for him, nationalism was a unity of Indians, irrespective of caste, class, language, religion, etc. So that kind of his kind of nationalism had always been an assimilatory kind of nationalism, and also he was trained in non-violence in South Africa. Many writers criticized Gandhi as an exclusivist nationalist, that he only thinks of his nation, he only thinks of his nationality or his nation's struggle. He did not care much about the other people of the world or the other nations of the world. Even a great admirer like Gandhi, you can see the sketch, a beautiful sketch, a very inimitable sketch, a rare sketch, a classic act of art by Jamini Roy. Here, you will find this picture at Shantiniketan. Of course, who had seen it, by just stroke of some, brush, Jamini Roy drew these great personalities, Tagore and Gandhi. And if I had more chance, I could have developed, I could have dealt much with this, tear comes to my eyes when I see these great men. They represented India at that time, and who are representing us in these days. So Tagore and Gandhi, they were great friends. But Tagore, they were lifelong great friends. But even a great friend like Tagore, he took Gandhi. Hello? Hello? Is there any problem?
Hello, sir.
Is there any problem? Is there any problem?
Some problem arise.
What has happened?
Okay, sir.
Hello.
Can you see me? Can you see the slides?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Slides are visible, sir.
So what is not? Am I not audible?
No, sir. Sometimes the voice is breaking, but now it is absolutely fine, sir.
Okay, I should put off the fan.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. It is very hot here. I have to put all the fans off. And Gandhi and Tagore, they engaged. They were lifelong friends. In fact, when Gandhi came back to India in 1915.
Bolo.
Hello.
Shivajita, you are absolutely audible. No issue. You just carry on.
No, somebody said "ha bolo," then I. So
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Pradeep, mute your voice.
Okay. Then
you just carry on, Shivajita.
Okay, I don't think I'm running out of time, Soma. Soma, should I be brief more?
No, yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. No problem.
Okay. Then so when Gandhi came back to South Africa with along with some students of his Tolstoy Farm and Phoenix School, he first came and settled in Shantiniketan. I think every one of you know. So such was a kind of respect that had between these two great men. And Gandhi, Tagore always addressed Gandhiji as Mahatma-ji, and Gandhiji also called Tagore always addressed him as Gurudev. But even though they were great friends, they were great critics of also of each other, especially what happened during the 1920-22 non-cooperation movement. And even so, Tagore wrote a great essay called Shotte Rauhan. or call of truth in English. And Gandhi also replied to a great sentinel. That was Gandhi's kind of take in this polemic. So there, Tagore also criticized him. Tagore criticized him as a narrow-minded leader, indifferent of the world outside. But Gandhi was aware of this image. Gandhi tried to dispel this image, and Gandhi wrote. I will read from this, quotation. Let us understand what nationalism is. We want freedom for our country, but not at the expense of or exploitation of others. I do not want the freedom of India if it means the extinction of England or the disappearance of Englishmen. I want freedom of my country so that other countries may learn something from my free country. Just as the cult of patriotism teaches us today that the individual has to die for the family for the village for the district for the province for the country. Even so, a country has to be free in order that it may die, if necessary, for the benefit of the world. My idea of nationalism is that my country may become free, that if need be, the whole country may die so that the human races may live. Let that be our nationalism. So Gandhi said that, okay, don't call me a narrow-minded nationalist. My nationalism, I also think of others. I also think about internationalism, but the route to my internationalism goes through the idea of nation and nationalism. He was first nationalist, then internationalist. Thus, for Gandhi, India's freedom was not for its exclusive growing into powerfulness, as Tagore suggested. Tagore had written a small pamphlet based on his three lectures, in fact, in Japan and United States in 1916. It was published in 1915, 16. It was published in 1916. And in this little book, it was, a staunch critic against. It is a very vehement critic of the idea of nationalism, where Tagore said that nationalism means exclusively growing into powerfulness. So Gandhi dispelled this idea. Gandhi said, no, India's freedom was not for its exclusive growing into powerfulness. Rather, it was for the spirit of voluntary sacrifice that could be decided only by a free country. If India has to think of shedding some privileges for herself to save the world, it can only do it if it is free to do it. If it earns freedom, only then it is free to do it. So freedom is necessary to become a real partner in the world of humanity. It also shows that there has been a hierarchy, and it also shows that there had been a hierarchy in Gandhi's priority. India's freedom always stood first before the international issues. But according to Gandhi, you can see the famous Dandi March. But Indian nation, according to Gandhi, was a different one. Indian nation was not like the Western nation. Gandhi thought, Tagore also liked to have an Indian nation, but that should not be like the Western nation, that everyone is competing with others, a cutthroat competition, and which ultimately leading to wars, etc. So that kind of Tagore did not want. Also, Gandhi said Gandhi did not also want. But the Indian nation was a different one, as it was not organized on the basis of modern civilization. Gandhi, in his seminal book called Hind Swaraj, that book he wrote during his voyage from England to back to South Africa in 1909, and he wrote that during this voyage. And this is the only book which Gandhi himself translated from Gujarati to English. Other books are translated by other books that you have. Most of these books, that is My Experiments with Truth and some other books. These books are written in, all books are written in primarily in Gujarati. These were translated into English. But this book particularly had been translated by Gandhi himself from Gujarati to English. And Gandhi wrote like as if he had a kind of spirit that had, as if some spirit had taken him. He wrote and wrote, and when he could write, Gandhi could write in both with both the hands. When his right hand that became very tired, he used the left hand to write to complete Hind Swaraj, and he wrote it down only within 9-10 days during this voyage. So there he said that India should be Indian nation, modern Indian should not be organized on the basis of modern civilization. Rather, the distinctive feature of Indian nation was its principle of non-violent satyagraha, founded on anti-modern values. So he said, when he argued in Hind Swaraj, if you have read that Hind Swaraj, he argued that after independence we cannot have the old British system of rule. Then you are only doing away the tiger, you are driving away the tiger, but having all the habits and nature of the tiger. So we have to think otherwise. So that was his philosophy, that he expounded in Hind Swaraj. So that was Satyagraha founded on anti-modern values. And his nationalism was not nationalism, simple nationalism. It was Satyagrahi nationalism. So the question arises: if he was so much anti-modern, then why he had chosen Nehru as his heir in Indian politics? Because Nehru was out and out a modern person, quote unquote, a modern person who believed in planning, who believed in industrialization, who believed in all the development that India could have going by the Western path. And so here, Nigel Harris, a leftist scholar, he argued, yet it was Gandhi who selected the thoroughly anglicized and secular Nehru to be his heir, and thus predetermined the nature of the leadership of independent India. By implication, Gandhi accepted that his objectives were utopian, incompatible with the world of competing states. So Harris said that by accepting Nehru, Gandhi accepts that his ways or his thought, his concepts are basically utopian things which will not work in the world of competing nations. So now we come to another very famous writer, Partho Chatterjee. Parthoda, as I call him, Parthoda. Parthoda published his seminal book that is nationalist thought and in a colonial world, a derivative discourse. There is an exclusive chapter there that is called The Moment of Maneuver. And he published this book also. You will find this chapter in Pantham Deutsch edited book on Indian political thought. There also he published this earlier. But here, Partho Babu had also similar arguments about Gandhi. And before Harris's book, he wrote this. He described the Gandhian moment in Indian nationalism as the moment of maneuver. And Chatterjee argued, in his historical effectivity of Gandhism as a whole, the conception of a national framework of politics in which peasants are mobilized but do not take part of a nation, of which they are part, but a national state from which they are forever distanced. Parthubabu argues that actually Gandhi, what had Gandhi done? Gandhi mobilized the peasants behind the Indian nationalism. This kind of politics, Buddhadev Babu had described as serious politics. And politics is there where masses are, not where they are in hundreds, but where they are in millions. That is where serious politics begin. So Gandhi did this serious politics by mobilizing the peasants behind the Indian nationalist movement. An Indian nationalist movement before Gandhi was very feeble. It was only restricted to the educated people, educated elite people. But with Gandhi, it became a mass nationalism. He was the father of mass nationalism. But in the new state, this nationalism brought about new Indian nation state. But in this state, in this nation, of which they are part, but a national state from which they are forever distanced. So that is the tragedy of Kisans. We say about India, that is Bharat, or we nowadays we call the confrontations or conflicts between India and Bharat. The India is an urban concept and Bharat is a rural concept. Okay, we can now I am coming to my argument, my main argument, my thesis, and give me 5-7 minutes more. So we can also approach this question of nonviolent satyagraha from another perspective. Gandhi's unrealizable ultimate goal of political anarchism. People asked him, what was your ultimate political goal? Gandhi said, philosophical anarchism or enlightened anarchism. It is anarchism. He was a follower of Tolstoy, Thoreau, and Ruskin. He did not believe in a kind of a centralized institution like the state. But he also did not like, he rather hated indiscipline. He wanted a kind of a system where there will be no state, but people will be very disciplined. How that is possible? So that is my argument. An ultimate goal of political anarchism could be implemented only through the establishment of a non-violent, decentralized state, both economically and administrative-wise. It would be a state based on the principles of Sarvodaya or village Swaraj, in which the self-sufficient village would be like a complete republic, independent of its neighbors, for its vital wants, and yet interdependent for many others, in which dependence is necessary. Thus, we see that Gandhi's nation and nationalism moved on two planes. Here we see social assimilation or integration, assimilatory kind of nationalism. He argued in favor of social assimilation. For him, nationalism was multi-class, caste, community spirit as a political or national unity, and also B, administrative as well as economic decentralization as the form of the state. So he was arguing something. We find how it is possible. As a nation, we should be united, but as a state, as administration and economic unit, we should be decentralized. Sarvodaya should be our ideal, where the villages should act like republics, complete republics, he said, oceanic republics, he said. But at the same time, there will be a kind of assimilatory integration at the level of nationalism. So my question is how to reconcile these two planes. social integration that symbolized national unity on one hand, and decentralization that symbolized proto-anarchy on the other. Because if you are united as a nation, but if you are disunited as state units, how the system can run? Would not the element of decentralization jeopardize the integrity of a nation, and worse, would not that lead to serious indiscipline that Gandhi had always feared of? Gandhi always feared of indiscipline. You know, he suspended Satyagraha, non-cooperation movement after Chori Chora, we know. So we are moving with this approach again. The means which would enable, and the means which would enable Gandhi to do this miracle, to discipline the masses and bound them as a nation, was Satyagraha as non-violence. This had been indeed a unique disciplinary technique invented by Gandhi. And I underline the word disciplinary technique in the line of Michel Foucault, as Foucault would have called it discipline, as discipline as discipline and punish. In discipline and punish, the word discipline. And she continues. In 1931, during the Roundtable Conference in London, Gandhi wrote, and I quote, "It takes a fairly strenuous training to attain to a mental state of non-violence. In daily life, it has to be a course of discipline, though one may not like, for instance, the life of a soldier. The perfect state is reached only when mind and body and speech are in proper coordination." Thus, the success of non-violence rested on disciplining body and mind like that of a soldier. Gandhi, we know, from his very youth, had been experimenting with self-imposition of various kinds of discipline. And I quote again, "It would be a distinct gain to the national cause if the leaders and workers strictly keep their hours. No man is expected to do more than he can. If at the end of the day there is surplus work left, or he cannot get through it without missing a meal or encroaching upon the hours of sleep or recreation, there is mismanagement somewhere." Shoma teaches public administration. You know the meaning of the implication of this word, mismanagement somewhere. So this is not management, this is mismanagement. And thus the success of non-violence rested on disciplining body and mind like that of a soldier. And Gandhi said, we have already discussed. Therefore, if there was truth or satya, truth is a very very qualitative term also. Eric Fromm had written a book called Gandhi's Truth. So there are many truths, for Gandhi. Truth was not, an absolute term for him. He was experimenting. He was experimenting with truth. Truth for him stood for also God. Therefore, if there was truth or satya in the concept of decentralization and empowerment of the village or individual, then the basis of such decentralized nation state should be non-violence as discipline. So non-violence is not only non-violence, it teaches you to become like a soldier. It should also act as an instrument of coordination and control without which no modern state can function, can be run. It should also act as an instrument of coordination and control without which no modern state can be run. And in this light, Satyagraha becomes a curious word. On one hand, it signifies insistence or urge for whatever positive, freedom from foreign rule, simple and self-reliant life, non-dependence on modern machines, absence of physical coercion and exploitation, democracy from below. In short, whatever we associated with the concept of Swaraj or self-rule. This doctrine, if extended radically, not only stands for decentralized state and economy, but also connotes individual liberty to a great extent. On the other hand, the word self-rule literally means, besides rule of the self, rule over the self, that is, by the self or self-restraint, and rule over the self and by the self, or in other words, self-restraint, which precisely means discipline. Thus, the apparently, what we think very apparently, they are utopian. Thus, the apparently utopian and extremely decentralized Gandhian state and economy, including trusteeship, could be a well-operative system if the citizen learns and practices by heart the principles of non-violence. Only this could ensure the automatic functioning of power with the least amount of coercion by the state. And finally, that would be something nearer to Gandhi's ideal of enlightened anarchy. Because enlightenment in any form signifies a disciplined order built on cognitive understanding. And the foundation of such state would be an assimilatory, non-modern, anti-modern nation bound by the same principle of non-violence as discipline. Thank you so much. So I have presented, this had been my presentation, and now I'm ready for any discussion. If you like to have some conversation, some discussion, some questions, over to you, Soma, or the chair.
Madam, this is Chandraboli. Shall I continue?
Hello, Chandraboli.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you for checking over. There are lots of questions in the chat box. And before moving to other speaker, will you please help reading out these questions for Shivaji Pratim Basu?
Yes, ma'am.
No. Okay. Please carry on. Chandraboli, please continue and carry on. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Sir, first of all, thank you very much for such an insightful presentation, because the very details which is found in your lecture have not only enriched us, and I guess most of the young scholars must have been very motivated by your lecture, and there will be more rigorous and extensive research on Gandhi's philosophy, education, and peace building in the recent times also. And with this, now I move on to the question that is posed by Dr. Mohitosh Kayan. He has asked, do you think Gandhiji's non-violent satyagraha slowed down India's independence movement?
Okay. So should I answer one by one, or should I take all the questions together and then?
Sir, I can read it out for you. You can answer it first, then I can read the second question for you.
There is always controversy, you see, Mr. Professor, I think you are from presidency, are you? Okay. So this is, this is a kind of, which in fact, which factor actually, brought India's freedom. There are many contestants, many claimants. But could you have Indian independence without these two mammoth, mass movements, like the non-cooperation movement in 1920 to 22, the civil disobedience movement of 1930, and then the Quit India movement of 1942. These are Indian, non-violent movement, 42 movement was not, of course, at the night of 9th August. So it was almost a leaderless movement. People like Joy Prakash Narayana or Aruna Asaf Ali, they led this movement. And many, new kind of independent or republics kind of, spotted everywhere in our state. The Tamluk, in Tamluk, a new independent Tamluk state that cropped up under Ajay Mukherjee and others. So these things happened. But without these three movements, India would, I don't think, it is my opinion, and also many may agree, that India would not be at the threshold of the freedom movement. Of course, the others also had fought. The revolutionaries also fought. They sacrificed their lives. People like great nationalists like Subhash Chandra Bosu, he led the INA from outside. So everything, but at the time of 1942, the British understood that you cannot rule anymore. We cannot rule anymore the Indians. They have become rebellious. So there are enough literature to suggest that am I not clearly audible? Again. So I don't think that Gandhi had slowed down. Of course, Gandhi had compromised for many reasons during the movements, and there are many from many angles it can be seen. For example, the Marxists the Marxists like Sumit Sarkar, he said he first compromises, then he goes for conflict, and he again compromises, like he compromised during the Chauri Chaura. But from Gandhian point of view, if you see the problems from Gandhian point of view, you will see what I have just explained, that he could not, why did he suspend? One of the reasons, he knew that the movement is going out of his hand. This is becoming violent. The people are taking law and order, and they are going in the path of non-obeying the orders of the leader. That tantamounts to indiscipline. So what he liked, that it should be satyagraha. You become, once you become, you practice. It is not a very easy task of being a satyagrahi. It is a life of a soldier, he said. You have to be disciplined. Your mind and action, your body and words should be very coordinated. So that was a kind of thing from Gandhian point of view. Anyway, so maybe some may say that by this he had slowed down some points. At times he had slowed down these movements. But others may also say that he was preparing the people of India for a greater struggle. Okay. Anyway, I may not, I don't know whether I could satisfy you or not. Any more question? Other question?
Yes, hello, sir. Yes, sir. There has been another question. The relevance of Gandhi's Satyagraha movement in present times, in present day politics.
Of course, it is very important, because Gandhi was never a narrow-minded nationalist. By nationalism, he did not mean Hindu nationalism or Muslim nationalism. He wanted an Indian nationalism, an Indian identity. And he thought that Indian nationalism, Indian identity was born during the struggle, during Indians' struggle with the British. As the Indians struggled with the British, they developed their identity. So this identity was very important, and this identity was very assimilatory kind of identity, not that kind of nationalism that we see nowadays. First. Secondly, Gandhi's kind of idea of development was something altogether different. And with the risk of being a kind of one-sided Gandhian, of being termed as a one-sided. And I would say that everyone from the beginning, from Nehru to other persons, they all had, quote unquote, one may say, betrayed Gandhi, because they had only made Gandhi a symbol on currency notes, and some non-alcoholic days on 2nd October, or this kind of the way that he is being celebrated now. So Gandhi's ideals, Gandhi's Khadi movement. What happened to Khadi movement? Everyone was wearing Khadi during the Swadeshi. Now when we are off, we have liberated ourselves from the shackles of British imperialism. We are all wearing the Western dresses. So that kind of so our mind is called colonized. So what about our colonized minds? So Gandhi is a failure, because, and everyone Gandhi, we can also so nowadays people are facing this deep crisis of ecology, because we are because of our this is primarily one factor is being pointed out again and again, that is the anthropogenic factor, that we are the destroyer of the environment. Why we are the destroyers? Because we are greedy. We are destroying the forest, all the natural resources. We are destroying the water, and we are hankering for new technologies and all these things that would make our life very easy. So these eases of life was not. So Gandhi believed in investing your own toil. You have to earn your own bread. Even Tagore was not prepared to take this. Gandhi said, like Mao Zedong, Gandhi said that even a man like Tagore or Raman or C.V. Raman, they also had to take on the course of rigorous, toil to earn their bread. They cannot enjoy something specially because they are some intellectuals. So that was his point of view. That was a Christian point of view, that you have to earn your bread. So that is not there. So we have become a consuming nation. We are dependent on others. We are dependent on Chinese technology. And now we see we are finding in a soup now, because we want our freedom. Of course, I also want my freedom. But suddenly you see that all our apps, quote unquote apps and other things, technologies, these things are made by Chinese. The Geo phone sets were basically Chinese phone sets. So how are we free? Is India really free? So we have to re-question this, and we have to follow Gandhi. We have to lead a more simple life. We should renounce many things. We should renounce, renunciation. Tena taktena vanjita. So that was Gandhi's motto. That is I don't think that is, we cannot go back to that motto. We cannot follow it. But if we could have, then the world would have been a very, an altogether a different place to live in, almost a paradise. Any more question?
Sir, yes, there is another question by Monoranjan Prasad Singh. He has asked, do you think that in our present day education system, we are at all following the decentralization method?
No, we are not.
Before you answer, Shivaji Da,
Yes.
may I request you that there are lots of questions. There may be some more questions.
Yes.
If these questions come to us and we mail it to you,
Please.
will you please give them an answer?
Absolutely, Shoma, because I have just mentioned that there will be mismanagement. So Gandhi said there will be mismanagement if we cannot make it within the time, that there should be discipline. You please, I know that my my presentation would have might have raised so many questions, because what I say is not very conventional kind of thing. So might have many questions might have.
No, it was a very thought-provoking presentation. So and we have other speakers. So with Manoran.
Please send me. I will definitely.
I request all the participants, if you have questions, please mail us and we will send it to Professor Shivaji Pratim Basu and will request him to answer your questions and we will send you back to you. Shivaji da, please carry on with Manoranjan Prasad's question.
Before I end, because there will be I must say that I have enjoyed. I must say I have acknowledged. I should acknowledge my gratitude to you for inviting me to this very lively kind of seminar, webinar rather, where many different and difficult questions are coming. I'm very happy to be with you. And after answering this one question, the next speaker, of course, the next speaker should speak. And I will also try to stay some moments from now to listen, to hear, and to learn new things from the next speaker. Thank you for the next question, please, and then the next speaker will take over. The next question, please.
Yes, sir. So the question is, do you think that in our present day education system, we are at all following the decentralization method?
No, we are not. We are seeing that kind of, centralization, decentralization begins with Indian Constitution. If we go by Indian Constitution, it begins with, federation, a federal structure, the states and the center. There are several things, all of you know, the state list, the central list, the state list, the union list, the state list, and the concurrent list. So now what we are seeing everywhere, there is, interference. Everywhere you see, when the NCRT, they make syllabus, do they consult all the educationists, most of the prominent educationists of India scattered over this great country in different states? They do not. They act according to their wish. So nowadays, I saw in newspaper that they are carteling one or two topics like decentralization and this center-state relations, etc., etc. So they are doing on their own. So this is a very decentralized, this is very centralized movement that we are finding now. So it is absolutely centralism centralization that we are seeing in, at least in educational fields. Thank you so much, and thank you for having your patience for hearing me for such a long time. This had been a really a very good experience for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
So now we move on to our next speaker, and
hello.
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Hello. Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now I am moving on to our next speaker.
Yeah. Chandabuli, please carry on.
Okay, ma'am. Yes.
I convey my thanks and gratitude to Professor Shivaji Pratim Basu and all the other speakers too for sparing some of their valuable times for us. And we are waiting eagerly for the next speaker. Please carry on.
Okay, ma'am. So now I am extremely privileged to invite Dr. Shantinath Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, University of Kalyani, West Bengal, to share his views with us. Dr. Sarkar, may I now request you to start your lecture? Dr. Shantinath Sarkar? Sir, may I please request you to begin your lecture now?
Sir.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can
Hello. Yes, sir. Sir, welcome to our webinar.
Yes.
So we have with us Dr. Shantinath Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, University of Kalyani. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Today, very important date, webinar or seminar, Mahatma Gandhi, peace, and global peace, and just 1 minute. Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum and collaboration with Hiralal Majumdar Memorial College for Women. And now start Honorable Principal, Mrs. Soma Ghosh, our previous speakers, Professor Shivaji Batin Basu, and other dignitaries. Now, can I start? Hello? 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 Oh,
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
oh, already listening? Listening? Pradeep?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Listening. Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace and Forum in collaboration with Hiralal Majumdar Memorial College for Women. Honorable Principal Pradeep Chando, Pradeep Kumar Das, Pradeep Kumar Odhikari, and our previous speakers, Professor Shivaji Basu and other dignitaries, and our very important scholars and other professors, other students hearing me. Now, can I start in Bengali, English, both language? Speak in Bengali, English, or only English? Can I speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you start.
Please, sir.
Already discussed. Shivaji Basu already discussed everything. Everything about non-violence, everything. Just one thing, গান্ধীজির জীবন দর্শন মূলত 5টা মৌলিক ধারণার উপরে গড়ে উঠেছে। এই 5টা ধারণা হলো, একটা হলো সেকেন্ড কর্মযোগ, thoughts on কর্মযোগ. Number 3, thoughts on non-violence. Number 4, thoughts on Satyagraha. Number 5, thoughts on Swadesh and Swaraj. এই 5টা যে মৌলিক ধারণা, এই যে বেসিক কনসেপ্ট, এই যে ধারণা, এই 5টার উপরই তার লাইফ কিন্তু জীবন দর্শনটা গড়ে উঠেছে। তিনি ভেবেছিলেন যে ঈশ্বরই সত্য আর সত্যটাই ঈশ্বর। I have no God to serve but the God. I have no God to serve but God, but truth. যে সত্যটাই হচ্ছে ভগবান, ভগবানই হচ্ছে সত্য, এরকম আলাদা করে তিনি বিশ্বাসী নেই। তবে আমার একটা জিনিস মনে হয়েছে, এই অহিংসা এবং তার মধ্যে যে ধারণা গড়ে উঠেছিল, তার একটা বড় কারণ হচ্ছে, আমার মনে হচ্ছে he had come from religious from জৈন, যে জৈন ধর্মের একটা প্রথম কারণ ছিল কিন্তু অহিংসা। এবং এছাড়াও তিনি যেই তো একেবারে ফ্রম দ্য ভেরি বিগিনিং, জাস্ট আফটার 21 years or 22 years, যখন তিনি ফিরে এলেন ইন্ডিয়ায়, যখন লিগ্যাল কাউন্সিল হিসেবে যোগ দিলেন, তখন তিনি চলে গিয়েছিলেন সাউথ আফ্রিকায়। had gone from South Africa, he had gone South Africa, এবং সাউথ আফ্রিকার যে এই যে জাতি বিদ্বেষ, এই যে তার রিলিজিয়াস, তার কাস্টিজম, রিলিজিয়াস, এবং এই কয়েকদিন আগেও দেখবেন পেপারে লেখালেখি হচ্ছিল ওই, এবং যেটা আমেরিকায় বিরাট একটা দাঙ্গা বেঁধে গিয়েছিল বর্ণ বিদ্বেষ নিয়ে, কালো আর সাদা। এইগুলো কিন্তু মূলত গড়ে উঠেছে আমাদের আমাদের this is our own concept. I have no আমাদের যে ধারণা এই যে গড়ে উঠেছে, সেই ধারণাগুলো কিন্তু আমাদের অসহযোগিতা এবং অহিংসা থেকে অসহযোগিতা, যে আমরা পেশেন্স খুব কম সময়ের মধ্যেই আমরা হারিয়ে ফেলি আমাদের পেশেন্সকে। এই পেশেন্স হারানোর ফলে আমাদের কিন্তু অনেক কিছু অহিংসা থেকে হিংস্রয় আমরা চলে যাই, এবং তার একটা মূল জায়গা কিন্তু ওই যে আমি একটা জায়গায় বলছিলাম থটস অন নন ভায়োলেন্স। এই নন ভায়োলেন্সটা গড়ে ওঠে কিন্তু ফ্রম লাভ। অহিংসা কিন্তু গান্ধীজির জীবন দর্শনে একটা বড় পার্ট ছিল। যেমন নন ভায়োলেন্স, তেমন আরেক দিকে গড়ে উঠেছিল তার ভালোবাসা, প্রেম, মানুষকে ভালোবাসা, বিভিন্ন ধর্মের মানুষকে ভালোবাসা। শিবাজি তার আগে বলছিল যে কাস্ট, রিলিজিয়াস, এগুলো কোনো তিনি মানতেন না, যে এবং তিনি একটা সময় গড়ে তুলেছিলেন ওই যেটা বিখ্যাত একটা সোসাইটি গড়ে তুলেছিলেন যার নাম টলস্টয়, যেখানে কোনো ধর্মের শিশুরা থাকতো না, বর্ণের কোনো ভেদাভেদ ছিল না, তাতে কোনো কাস্টিজম ছিল না, রিলিজিয়ান ছিল না ফেমিনিজম, কোনো জেন্ডার কিছু ছিল, কিছু, প্রত্যেকে যেন একটা পরিবার, come from a single family, যে একটা পরিবারের মধ্যে আমরা যেন গড়ে উঠেছি। এই যে অহিংসা, এখান থেকে কিন্তু এখান থেকে কিন্তু ভালোবাসা জন্মায় এবং গড়ে উঠেছে। এবং তারপরে দেখা গেল কি এই সবগুলো কিন্তু যে অহিংসা এবং প্রেম কিন্তু খুব ভেরি মাচ রিলেটেড। এবং এর সাথে সাথে তিনি গড়ে তুলেছিলেন কি স্বদেশ এবং স্বরাজ। যে গান্ধীজি স্বরাজ এবং স্বদেশ দুটো ধারণা তার স্বপ্নের সমাজের একটা স্বরূপ বর্ণনা করছিলেন। গান্ধীজি স্বরাজ মানে বলেছিলেন স্বাধীনতা, ফ্রিডম, এবং শাসন, যারা নিজেরাই শাসন করবে, এবং সেটা কোনোভাবেই পারিবারিক শাসন নয়। আর স্বদেশের অর্থ স্বাবলম্বন বা আত্মশাসন। এই যে গান্ধীজি সাধনা ছিল কি ওই দ্যাট টাইম গান্ধীজি বিল্ড আপ নিউ সোসাইটি, কি যে ভ্যালু একটা গড়ে তুলেছিল, যে কাদের এগেনস্টে, ব্রিটিশ রাজ, ব্রিটিশের এগেনস্টে তিনি গড়ে তুলেছিলেন। কি গড়ে তুলেছিলেন? যে একটা এমন একটা যে নিজেদের মধ্যে মূল্যবোধ গড়ে উঠবে, এবং যার মধ্যে দিয়ে স্বদেশ এবং স্বরাজ থাকবে, তার মধ্যে দিয়ে ব্রিটিশের বিরুদ্ধে লড়াই করেন। আর কি বলেছিলেন? যে থটস অন কর্মযোগ। গান্ধীজি ভাবতেন যে গীতার যে কর্মযোগের ধারা, যে গীতা তাকে গভীরভাবে প্রভাবিত করেছিল। গীতার বাণী, গীতার যে ধর্মানুরক্তি, মানুষ তো সেবা ধর্মে অনুপ্রাণিত করে, বস্তুত কর্মযোগী ধর্মীয় জীবনকে তার সক্রিয় সমাজ জীবন থেকে পৃথক করে না। গান্ধীজি এই ধারণা তার জীবনে অনুসরণ করেন। তার মধ্যে সমাজ ও সমাজ সেবা ওতপ্রোতভাবে যুক্ত, একদম ইন্টারলিঙ্ক। সমাজ সেবা হচ্ছে একটা পবিত্র কর্তব্য। এবং তিনি আরো বলেছিলেন
স্যার আপনি মিউট হয়ে গেছেন।
এখানে বডি মাইন্ড অ্যান্ড স্পিরিট তিনি বললেন, গান্ধীজি তার শিক্ষার কথাতে তিনি বললেন যে দেহ মন এবং আত্মার বিকাশটাই হচ্ছে প্রকৃত শিক্ষা। গান্ধীজি আরেকটা বললেন কি, গান্ধীজির আরেকটা বড় অধ্যায় কি, ট্রুথ অ্যান্ড হরিজন সমাজ। সেখানে বলতে গিয়ে তিনি বললেন, কামস টু মাইন্ড অসতোমা সদ্গময় তমসোমা জ্যোতির্গময় রুদ্রোজত্তে দক্ষিণাং মুখং তেনমং নিত্যম। Human qualities are preserved only if one takes a refuge in truth. When the virtues of kindness, tenderness, patience, love, desire, forgiveness, etc. do not seek refuge in the truth gradually slips away from our minds. Gandhiji another thing. Gandhiji was eager to know, realize, achieve, and establish this truth in his own life, devoted and in every moment of life, he understood the reality of God. I have already discussed the truth is God, God is truth. তিনি বলেছিলেন, আমি বললাম যে সত্যই শূন্য, মানে সত্যটাই হচ্ছে ভগবান, ভগবানই হচ্ছে সত্য। সেজন্য বলছেন, he understood the reality of God. Gandhiji devoted his life to the search for truth. He learned from his mistakes and achieved this by experimenting on himself. Truth is not revealed only in words and deeds. Truth is known through non-violence. Truth is known through non-violence. You love and selfless forgiveness. It is all selfless and forgiveness. Now, eternal and world peace is maintained through truth. Gandhi believed that truth, non-violence, and love in human beings, these honest thoughts and principles come as instructions in the human heart. The pursuit of the determination to follow these principles of honest thinking is a moral pursuit inspired by the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, Gandhiji said, in the course of walking the path of truth, sometimes darkness will come. There will be despair. We'll have to face a very terrible situation. We want to have the courage to fight against them. There is no place, for cowards in the path of policy. We will move forward with firm steps, never backing down. Those who follow the principle never accept defeat. Gandhiji, Gandhiji was not a promoter of non-violence. Gandhiji was not a promoter of the non-violence. He wanted to apply the religion of non-violence to his life. Non-violence to life. Gandhiji thought was far-sighted. He realized violence might be the immediate solution to the problem, but it was a temporary and catastrophic disaster. Violence, conflict, greed, murder in human beings, all these qualities bring about the destruction of humanity. He wanted to bring Swaraj in an atmosphere of peace through non-violence. Gandhiji is autobiography. He says, I don't remember seeing the spinning wheel until 1908. Another, he said, even so, in my book, Hindu Swaraj, as written, Hindu Swaraj, I have said that poverty can be eradicated only with the help of Charka. We have already conceived Charka of India. I assume that Swaraj would come in the way that would satisfy the problem solved of hunger of the country. That is called freedom, otherwise nothing. Gandhi's life is well documented, courtesy of his own autobiography and his own writing in his own publishing house, Horizon and Young India. But after his 150th birthday, we would like to see his influence. No others like Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, Jaina, etc. How meaningful is Gandhi is independent in India, which Gandhi has not seen for a long time. How should today's India see Gandhi? How should today's India see Gandhi? What do we learn from Gandhi? While standing in the time of this most important majority today, in the last few months of his life, Gandhi stood in the midst of the horrors of the partition. The Satyagraha, like that day, Chauri Chaura, showed how responsible Gandhi was for his policy, for standing up.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute. 1 minute. Mohanta Bishwas, mute your video. Okay, sir.
For standing up against public opinion. Gandhi started Satyagraha in 1917. This time, the hunger strike was subject to a horrific communal situation that had been created almost everywhere in the country has been created, almost everywhere in the country, communal situation. We have already known 1905, Bangabhanga Andolan. The Muslims and Delhi, Muslims of Delhi in particular had a vindictive attitude. At the time, Gandhi had fallen ill. On that time, Gandhi already ill. Nevertheless, he said, he would carry out Satyagraha as long as people from all communities felt connected to each other from their minds. Gandhi laid down 7 conditions for breaking the Satyagraha. From breaking the Satyagraha, for 7 conditions are established there. All this was for the safety of the Muslims and Delhi and their property. Due to his actions, Sikhs and Hindus took an oath to protect the Muslims of Delhi. It takes courage to stand up against the majority, even to stand by the most vulnerable. Gandhi did not care about the anger of the people. He used political and social power to protect the Muslims. Is perhaps the greatest lesson to these secular parties. No religious have to establish their own power, who want to distance themselves from Muslims in the face of the terror of the current majority. Now, this does not mean, however, that this life cannot be read critically, or that is politics and beyond criticism. Baba Sahib Ambedkar's attitude towards Gandhi should not be forgotten in this regard. On September 16, 1932, in his cell of the Worth jail near Bombay, Gandhi begins a hunger strike. On that day, Gandhi begins hunger strike in protest on the British government. Hunger strike already started in the center of the jail. In protest to the British government decision to separate India's electoral system by caste, like separate voting system for the Dalit, horizon. British already started Hindu, Muslim, casteism, religion, already separate. He saw it as the inner untouchability of the Hinduism. Untouchability. I have already seen auspiciously Chandal. চন্ডালের ছায়া মারালে সেখানে গঙ্গা জল দিতে হবে, গোবর জল দিতে হবে, যেখানে ওই এঁঠো বাসন রাখবে তাদেরকে ধুতে হবে। এখনো আমাদের দেশে জাতপাতের সমস্যা এখনো আছে। আমরা এতদিন এগিয়ে চলে এলাম, গান্ধীকে আমরা সত্যাগ্রহ বলছি, গান্ধীকে আমরা নন ভায়োলেন্সের কথা বলছি, সব বলেছি। তারপরও আমরা দেখতে পাই কি ভারতবর্ষের এখনো অসংখ্য জায়গায় আগে জিজ্ঞেস করে কে কোন ধর্মের, তারপরে জিজ্ঞেস করে কোন কাস্টের, সে দলিত না দলিত নয়। He saw it an inner untouchability of Hinduism, according to Ambedkar, in the political power of his community was essential for their survival. Ambedkar chesta koreche. Those who have faced historical injustice needed to rise to their own leadership outside the oppressive class. And he used the strategy against the weakest, the least represented part of the time to come to power. এবং এইটা এই যে জাতপথের একটা লড়াই, জাতপথের একটা আমাদের দেশে করে গেল, করে যাওয়া হয়েছিল, এটা বহুদিনের, এবং সেইটাকে চেষ্টা করা হচ্ছিল বারবার করে কি করে জাতপথ থেকে তোলা যায়, ধর্মের বিভেদ থেকে তোলা যায়। দেখবেন একটা খুব বাজে কথা বলি, আনন্দবাজারে এখনো দেখবেন রবিবারে পাত্র পাত্রীতে দিয়ে দেয় সমস্ত কিছু, কোন ধর্মের, কোন জাতের, কোন বর্ণের, এইটা একটা, এটাও হয়তো উঠে যাওয়া উচিত। আজকের দিনে এই যে আমরা বলছি হরিজনের কথা, আমরা বলছি দলিতের কথা বলছি, আমরা অসহযোগিতা, পেশেন্টসের কথা বলছি, ইমপেশেন্টস আমাদের মধ্যে, এইগুলো উঠে গেলে হয়তো অনেকটা হয়তো আমরা মানবতার একটা সত্তা নিয়ে বেঁচে থাকতে পারবো। হিউম্যানিজম, আমাদের মধ্যে একটা হিউম্যানিজম বিল্ড আপ। We must keep the memory of the Gandhi alive, not as an idol, but as a man who lived and died for India and all Indians. Gandhi is one of the great men who have descended on the earth from time immemorial. Those who are the best, great men have received the best gifts in the world from all principles and history. Gandhiji believed that truth was at the root of all religions, and he was against the hypocrisy and superstition of all religion. Very important line, very important factors. Gandhiji believed that truth wasn't at the root of all religions, and he was against the hypocrisy and superstitions of all religions. Gandhiji, lastly, Gandhiji religion of truth and non-violence speaks entirely of philosophy. Gandhiji philosophy, non-violence. Gandhiji philosophy, truth. Gandhiji's philosophy, patience. Without patience cannot come from non-violence. Non-violence, truth, human love, neutrality carry the message of peace. Depends on peace, depends on non-violence. Peace depends on truth. Peace depends on human love. Peace depends on neutrality, which teaches the child to develop high ideas, deep values, socially consciousness, citizen, which is very relevant today. It is very relevant. Gandhiji's life philosophy, truth, non-violence, love, was not limited to one nation or group. His ideas spread in the creation of world peace. It is a matter of wondering how much the heinous acts of the violence, fighting of animals, killings of animals, making of weapons of wars are being used for the welfare of the humanity. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, my dear principals, respected principal, dignitaries, organizers, and previous speakers. Shivajida, very important. Today, he has already discussed discussed details everything. I have already so many lectures I have listened Shivajidas. So thank you everybody. Thank you golden opportunities to today's participant and to the lectures. Thank you everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Thank you so much, sir. And because you have given so lucid presentation and you have talked about such important points, so thank you very much from all of us. And now I would like to request our principal, Madam Dr. Shoma Ghosh, to deliver a short lecture. Madam, Principal Madam.
Can you hear me?
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Someone in the chat box wrote that it was a unique webinar. I share the same view because in these days we are doing a lot of things with COVID-19 and its impact on society, education, culture, etc., etc. But this webinar rather, was a wonderful breakthrough. Every speaker gave different outline of Gandhi's philosophy, Gandhi's thought, and everything was so thought-provoking. And if we attempt to summarize, we can say in simple word that it was a blend of his religious and social ideas, his cultural and political ideas, his educational and economic and spiritual ideas. Actually, as we know, that the twin cardinal principles of Gandhi's thought are truth and nonviolence. It should be remembered that what is truth? Truth is an imperfect translation of the Sanskrit, rather it is satya. And nonviolence means ahimsa. Now, satya contains a dimension of meaning which actually is not included in the English version of philosophy. It has its own indigenous impact. Satya is something for us which involves everything in our life. It embraces our spiritual, religious, moral, political, economic, social, individual and collective life. So Gandhiji's thought actually insisted us to be to move on in the path of Satya, and we don't know that whether we could have done this or not. I shouldn't go in that dilemma. But of course, Gandhiji, what Gandhiji tried to suggest, Gandhiji believed that Satya and Ahimsa, they are the most powerful force in existence. And he was one of the philosophers with highest religious idealism, and as well as he was a philosopher with pragmatism, and he was actually practical idealist. So Gandhian philosophy is certainly considered as a universal and timeless philosophy, and it is always relevant in all times. It is very much relevant to all humankind, and especially in such a situation of crisis, we need to remind our philosophers, our pathfinders like Gandhiji, because ideology of Gandhiji, or Gandhiji can, what they can lead us properly to come out of this depressing situation. And Gandhiji's thought, the practice of extensive self-reliance by individuals, villages, regions, and the nation, this is highly relevant in present day scenario, both in the crisis situation, and when we'll be coming out of this crisis, we can hope to come out of this crisis very soon. So self transformation and self determination, as preached by Gandhiji, should be our motive of life also. I'd like to sum up with a few 4 words: truth, nonviolence, sarvodaya, and satyagraha. These 4 significant contribution of Gandhiji's teaching, and if we can follow in our political, moral, religious, social, and educational life, it will be really great for us, and it will really help us to overcome this crisis situation. With that brief note, I'd like to thank all the speakers of the day, and of course the colleagues in my college, Pradeep, Chandraboli, Pritha, Mriganko, Shopna, everyone, Prodipto, Sujata, and everyone associated with this webinar, and hand it over to Chandraboli for giving formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, madam. Since we come to the concluding segment of the webinar, I would like to request Mr. Pradeep Adhikari, State President, West Bengal and Coordinator of Bangladesh Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum, to deliver the formal vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Sandeep Madhuva, Chancellor, AAFT University. Respected Madan Mitra Sir, President, Hiralal Majumdar Memorial College for Women. Dr. Shoma Ghosh, Principal, Hiralal Majumdar Memorial College for Women. Invited speakers, faculties, scholars, and my dear friends. First of all, I would like to thank the founder chairman, Mr. Manojit Singh, Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum. You gave me an opportunity to speak on this occasion, and it is matter of honor for me. Thank you, respected President Sir, Hiralal Majumdar Memorial College for Women, and Principal Madam, Hiralal Majumdar College for Women. It is the biggest day in the history of our institutions, Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum and Hiralal Majumdar College for Women. Today, we have hosted the biggest education webinar on Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy on education and peace building in India and Bangladesh. More than 745 registered candidates from different countries wish to participate by different media like Facebook, Live, YouTube, and Google Meet, and 150 representatives and more than 70 colleges and universities participating in this ceremony. This is a huge success in itself. On behalf of the entire institute, I would like to thank the Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Sandeep Madhawa, Chancellor, AAFT University. I would like to thank the Honorable Speakers, Dr. Saber Ahmed Chowdhury, Department of Peace and Conflicts Studies, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh. Professor Shivaji Pratim Basu, Dean, Faculty of Arts and Commerce, Vidyasagar University. Vipin Gaur, National General Secretary, Newspaper Association of India, and Governor General, Mahatma Gandhi Global Peace Forum. Dr. Shantinath Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, University of Kalani. Because this international webinar cannot be complete without your presence and inspiring words. I thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you, sir. I would also like to thank Dr. Dola Sarkar, Assistant Professor, Policy College. She sang a beautiful song of Gandhi. I would also like to thank Dr. Suyata Mukherjee, Pritha Kundu, Rupen Sen, IQAC Coordinator, Pradipta Mukherjee, Mriganko Naran Das, Sapna Jha, Momita Das, Mousumi Odhikari, and Dr. Suyata Mukherjee. I would also like to special thanks Pooja Das, Atriya Bhattacharya, Madam, Ritik Acharya Sir, the technical support staff of the complete preparation of this webinar program. In this short time, you have made the best arrangement for this program. Thank you wholeheartedly. Thank you. Thank you all.
Acha, I'd like to add on something. First of all,
yes, ma'am. Yes.
Sorry for interruption.
Okay,
The one name I must mention, that is Dr. Chandrabali Datta.
Please. Yes. Sorry.
All the time she extends her all-out support on all occasions, despite she is having some problem in her home. So a special thanks are due to Chandrabali also. And Srimati Pooja Das and Srimati Atri Bhattacharya, two of our younger colleagues, they are working tirelessly for making this webinar successful. At the same time, they are taking classes as they are the faculty members of our college. So special thanks to all our faculty members due to for these organizing such successful webinars. And I must convey my thanks to Pradeep also, Dr. Pradeep Das, for his enterprise and patience, because there were lots of problems, lots of odds, and he managed to handle everything with care and enterprise. So thanks are due to Dr. Pradeep Das also. And I express my gratitude to Mr. Pradeep Odhikari, who has been so cooperative and who has been so energetic in organizing such webinars. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
So now we would like to finish our program, and before finishing it off, we would like to play the national anthem of Bangladesh first, and then Dr. Dola Sarkar is going to sing our national anthem for us. So with these two national anthems, which have been written by Rabindranath Tagore, we would like to complete and finish our webinar today. May we now have the national anthem of Bangladesh?
চলছে।
Now, I am presenting our national anthem. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल छलति तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.